there is always a tendency to recoil from that or to stiffen around it. And then it just becomes like a kernel of poison within inside of ourselves that we're carrying around. And we never give ourselves the opportunity to really sit with that and bear witness and find space. And I mean, one of the exercises that I really like to work with when somebody's feeling like they're kind of stiffening around is an exercise around expanding emotions, where what we do is allow ourselves to really feel the raw emotions that we're carrying inside of us. And everybody has this, you know, something comes up, you know, if you have a moment where something spikes and you go like, I don't want to face that. But you're feeling it. And then you distract yourself and you recoil or you stiffen. And what ends up happening is nothing is resolved. We haven't used that as the gift that it is, which is here is that place of pain that is alive inside of me. Feel it. Feel the stiffening. And then you could even close your eyes and use your imagination and picture that the emotions, instead of being constricted, are having breath moving into them and are expanding, let's say, even to the size of the room that we're sitting in right now. And then allow yourself to breathe in and breathe out into the emotions and let them become even bigger so that they spill out into the entire space of the building that you're in, pushing into all of the rooms, into the window space and beyond, spilling out the windows, spilling into the city block you're in, the city that you're in, or beyond if you're in a country setting, and just expanding to their absolute maximum so that they are diffusing into the molecules of the air around us. And just noticing what happens inside of you as you allow yourself to see, and you've got your eyes closed, Ande, so I think you're letting yourself have that experience for a moment as you breathe in and you breathe out, just noticing what the experience is for you. And then very slowly bringing yourself back in, fully landing, breathing in and breathing out. And when you're ready, just bring your awareness back and open your eyes. And I want you to just tell me what you noticed. I think you joined along with that explanation.
Yeah, I love doing that. It's, it like, I guess the experience was, you know, whatever I was feeling was kind of tight and constricted, and then in letting it spill out the windows and letting it spill out into the countryside and over to the ocean and all of that, it really, to me, it just kind of dissipated after a while. It was, I felt it much more strongly in the beginning, and then allowing it to expand just made it kind of not as intense. That was my experience of it.
Did you notice what the feeling of pressure was before you started that exercise? Like what the pressure felt like?
It was kind of in my like chest and lower neck, and it was just kind of a dull pressure.
Yeah, so that would tell you that, I mean, it's interesting because you're staying with the inner experience rather than going to a story, which is really powerful, because the minute we start going into a story, it whips us up into a frenzy of remember the beads, all the things that are on that chain, right? Everything. Right. So it's like, well, I feel this way because this happened and this happened and this happened. And it's like, it creates kind of a really churning, terrible inner experience. So you stayed right with the emotion and with the pressure. And as long as you don't go into your brain and all the stories that happen, you could really work with the raw emotion, which is what you did. And that's, then you really have access to allowing things to dissipate, which is beautiful. Mm-hmm. And the story doesn't have to be the thing that is driving everything in your life. That's not to say that at some point working on a story might not be helpful. It may be very, very beneficial, but you were able to just go with the raw emotion, which is like
Mm.
Just fabulous. Right?
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. And I hope everyone watching right now also, you go through that exercise, and even if you rewatch this, you go through it again and see what's there for you and your experience of the exercise. That was beautiful. Thank you.
It's really been a delight to speak with you, Ande, and talk about this and share this.
Well, right back at you. I really appreciate it and all the work that you're doing in the world. And are there any last insights? I mean, we went through so much, but I'm sure we could talk for hours. Any last insights you want to leave people with before we wrap up?
Well, I would just say if people are interested in, working on some of the exercises or want to learn more, first take the approach of being gentle with yourself, following your own kind of wisdom, because you do have wisdom, and you do need to be paying attention to yourself, that if strong emotions come to the surface, you know choose to bear witness in a way that will be nourishing for you, that will be gentle for you, and that this is a journey. It doesn't all have to happen today. It's something that you peel back the layers one little bit at a time, and that is generally the best approach, one gentle layer at a time.
I love it. Thank you. I love it. I love your work. I love your message, and I really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you so much, Ande.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into Anna's class, and we'll see you on the next one. Everybody, here is to your journey to healing from childhood trauma. Bye, everybody. Hey, everyone. I just wrapped up another incredible class with Dr. Anna Baranowsky, and she talked with us about gifts of your trauma past. So I really loved her class. I think she really has a very calming, soothing way about her, and she's been doing this work with PTSD and trauma for so long, and it really shows. I think some of the big take-home messages for me were when she talked about, really when she grabbed the beads and showed us this physical representation of how trauma and events in our lives can just string together and do string together throughout our lives. So any current thing that happens to us today, or a reminder of something that happened to us in the past, or some kind of a trigger, can stir up all those beads in the string, right? They're all linked together. And she's like, right, if you shake one, you're shaking them all. So I thought this was like a really cool way to visualize how we can get triggered by something that has nothing to do with potentially what happened in the past, or maybe it does, but it might not have anything to do with it. And it can shake everything up. All these past experiences can shake us up. So she recommended that we take a look at historical wounds that are unresolved. And specifically what she talked about with this was really like putting them out on a timeline and being precise with your language. So using 7 to 10 words to describe whatever that event was. So being really clear and concise and precise about what that was, and then rating them all, and then eventually like finding the themes in all of them. So the themes she mentioned were things like I'm unlovable, or life is unfair, or I'll always be alone, or I'll always be poor. These are main like life themes, and I kind of look at them as like big underlying beliefs in life that you might have, that if unresolved are going to affect and underlie everything that you do in your life, and affect relationships and all of that stuff. So last thing I wanted to mention was how important Anna mentioned it is to witness our pain points with compassion. Right, to turn towards those pain points, to lean towards them, because like the exercise she just took us through, which I thought was so beautiful, is recognizing whatever the emotion is that you're experiencing, whatever pain or discomfort you're experiencing, and then she walked us through this really beautiful exercise of really allowing yourself to feel it and letting it, pour out and get bigger. And it seems kind of counterintuitive, right? Because so many of us want to run from something uncomfortable that we're feeling, or something from the past. But what she recommended, right, was let it get bigger, let it get huge, let it spill out the windows, let it spill out the doors, let it spill out into the area that you're in, into the woods, into the city, whatever. And then my experience of doing that exercise with her was, what I was experiencing was just dissipated. It was like having this amazing experience of feeling it and allowing it, looking at it and leaning towards it with compassion, like she said. And then the experience I had was it dissipated. So what was your experience of that? You know, what was your experience of doing that exercise, and how can you start applying that exercise in your life when you're experiencing these different emotions that you might want to run from, but the thing to do is to dive into them and turn towards them. So I hope that you enjoyed this latest class with Anna, and we will see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.